Kelsey. This is my channel, The Fancy Hat Lady Reads. I am wearing one of my fancy BookTube hats, and today I am bringing you the very last of this year's BooktubeSFF Babbles videos. Now, the BooktubeSFF Babbles are video prompts provided every year in association with the BooktubeSFF Awards. Anyone can join in and make a recommendation list based on the prompt. I'll leave all of the information for the BooktubeSFF Awards posted down below. And this final topic, which I'll admit I am uploading belatedly, is things I want to steal from SFF. Now, there is a reason I almost did not do this topic, even though I pretty much always do all of the BooktubeSFF Babbles if I possibly can. And that's because for the last couple weeks I've been looking at my shelves with this topic in mind, with this prompt, and the only things, with one notable exception, that have been jumping out at me were all food. And I said to myself, Kelsey, this is ridiculous. You can't make this whole video about food. And then I thought, well, why not? So I will admit, this is mostly going to be a video about foods that I want from SFF books. This is my pandemic brain speaking. I am stuck here with my own home cooking and I am getting bored and sick of it. I want nothing more right now than fancy food. I want fancy food more than I want to hang out with people. And I'm not even in the habit of eating a lot of particularly fancy, expensive food, but having the option is nice. Right now, I do not need a magic sword. That does not have much appeal. I do not need a fancy ball gown. I have nowhere to go in it. What I want is fantasy food. I would not mind a spaceship. That would be incredibly helpful. I can't think of a particular spaceship from a book, though, that is like the spaceship I want. But like, spaceship, good idea. Now, I did mention that there was one notable exception that was sort of the first thing that jumped to mind, that was an item in a book where I read it and the first thing I thought upon encountering this item is, I want that, and that item is a painting. So this list does have two parts. The first, much smaller part is art. The second part is food. The book that made me say, there is a painting and I want it, is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This has a number of very whimsical paintings described in it. The one specifically that I want is the bunny pirates. I want the bunny pirate painting. The moment it was described in the book, I started thinking, I hope some fan artist does a really exquisite rendition of this and like sells prints because I want it. Who wouldn't want a painting of a ship full of bunny pirates? Anywho, bunny pirate painting. This book does also have some great food in it. There is a magical kitchen that will like send you a bunch of whatever you ask for, but like more of it and better than what you asked. The kitchen from this book is not necessarily a thing you could like steal, though. Like, I want the kitchen. I want to be quarantined with the kitchen. It would be spoilers to reveal exactly what the kitchen is, but I'm pretty sure I could not heist it, and neither could you. And then, having realized that there was going to be an art section to this video, I did pull another book off of my shelves that has some art in it. This is more a series than a book, but the character of Jilly from the Newford series by Charles de Lint, which is mythic, urban, fantasy, interconnected stories. The character of Jilly is an artist. She shows up in a bunch of the short fiction, and she is the protagonist of The Onion Girl, and I think I would really like some of her urban fairy paintings that are described in this series. Now, I don't remember there being one painting of hers that I've read about that like stuck in my mind as a sincere, I want this enough that I would break into an art gallery at night and try to steal it. However, if Jilly Coppercorn was selling like laptop stickers on her Etsy shop, I would probably buy them. Now we're going to go into the food. This is the food section. This is the rest of the video. Definitely stuff I would steal from a palace kitchen. It includes like all of the food from the book of Atrix, Wolfe by Patricia A. McKillip. A good portion of this book does take place in a palace kitchen, and everything sounds both delicious and beautiful. Everything that is prepared for these elegant banquets with all of the sculptural food pieces, all of like the shaped bread rolls. Like if I could sneak into this kitchen, I would be grabbing stuff and sticking it into my apron pockets behind people's backs. But also all of the things that are like whipped up last minute for a hunting party to bring with them to eat. I know there are big fantasy feasts in a lot of fantasy novels, but this is the one that has the like specific food dishes that have stuck in my mind, I think, the strongest. Next is a book that has to be on this list because I want this food. I'm not totally sure I want to steal it though. I think I want to acquire it legally. And that is all of the pastries from Sunshine by Robin McKinley. The main character in this book is the baker for a family-owned coffee shop. She bakes a lot of delicious sweets, some of which get very creative names that are a lot of fun, but she is renowned for her cinnamon rolls the size of your head that she bakes every morning and that sell out very quickly. And I think I want to acquire these cinnamon rolls legally instead of stealing them from Sunshine's kitchen, because what I really want is to sit in a cozy, family-run coffee shop with a pastry and a big mug of tea and read a book, because I miss that. If you read this book, it will make you want freshly baked cinnamon rolls. It's one of those things where I know if I want to reread this book, I better have cinnamon rolls ready or I will be gravely disappointed in myself. This is a vampire novel, by the way. It's urban fantasy. I actually recently saw this recommended on Twitter by Melissa Albert, I think, who's the author of The Hazel Wood, as like a really perfect pandemic read because it takes place in a contemporary world that is post-disaster, but the people are operating in a sort of new normal. And there's a lot of like cozy coffee shop normality, even though Sunshine's got her own like personal vampire disaster going on. Made me think I need to do a reread. The thing that is stopping me is that I don't have the cinnamon rolls to eat with this book. I have looked at a couple of recipes and they just look like way too much work for me. I'm going to have to see if I can get like actual quality cinnamon rolls anywhere in my neighborhood. Then last on this list, but not least because it brings us really back to things worth stealing, is A Face Like Glass by Frances Hardinge, which is one of her earlier books, and it is my favorite book of hers that I've read. This book is nuts. I have a review of it that is actually like still one of the most watched videos on my channel. But this book takes place in a bizarre magical underground city where the aristocracy are these families of magical artisanal craftspeople, and they put ridiculous amounts of effort and work into creating these perfect true delicacies that have assorted magical properties. And the main character, Neverfell, in this book has been raised by a cheese maker who makes these magical cheeses. And this is the one book that breaks the pattern of all of these other books that I've listed. They're all fantasy books, but the things that I want from them are all incredibly mundane things. I want food and I want paintings, like nothing magical about any of that. So really, I had to make sure the magical cheeses were on this list. And I think I am specifically latching onto the cheeses in this book, not just because Neverfell is raised as a cheesemaker's apprentice, but because I specifically get like hankerings for fancy cheese. And I'll admit, I don't actually know the first thing about fancy cheeses. Like, I go to a cheese section and I'm kind of like maybe picking something out blind and hoping it goes well on crackers. So my personal desire for fancy cheese is sort of latching on to the magical foodstuffs in this book. And so the magical fancy cheese looks really, really appealing. Now, the whole aristocracy social structure in this book that is built around these true delicacies is totally and completely messed up. So I would say they're totally fair game for stealing, and in fact there's a character in this book called the Kleptomancer, and he is incredible. I will never be as cool as the Kleptomancer, but I could maybe steal a small cheese. So that's it. That's my list. Those are the books. Again, mostly food. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it didn't make you hungry. I made myself really hungry, and I don't have anything particularly fancy to go eat. I'm gonna go slather some peanut butter on some celery. Woohoo. Anyhow, let me know what things you would want to steal from your favorite books. Are they fancy magical artifacts, or are they just food? Anyhow, I hope you're having a nice day. That is all. Bye for now.